it's been a couple of hours since David Moyes revealed in his pre-match press conference that there is a contract waiting for him at West Ham and that he will decide whether he signs it or not. Earlier on, I did a video with Gio and we gave our instant reactions, and I think it's fair to say both myself and Gio were rather interested in the way that this had come across in his wording. I will do what's best for West Ham. He was talking about his family. There was stuff like this. These are, as I said, these are retrospective comments. These are comments of a man who's reflecting on something. They're almost, I would suggest, the words of a man who's on his way out. That contradicts massively, which is what he was saying about him deciding whether he wanted to sign a new contract or not. To quote his words, I've had really good conversations with the owners, with David Sullivan and Karen Brady. There's a contract there for me, and I'm the one deciding to wait until the end of the season. So you've almost got to split this up. That particular one, I'm the one deciding. It's very much him answering a question which I don't think was even asked. So he's just trying to get ahead of this now, trying to get ahead of the story and just make out that he is in control and he is in power here. The truth of the matter is that there has been no new contract offered to him. In many respects, some of what he is saying is true, and it is. It's just sort of 6 weeks old. And there was a point where I think West Ham would have been quite happy for him to sign a contract. However, as we know, the hierarchy at West Ham can be very, very reactive. And they can take a long time to make a decision. And I think in this instance, they'll probably feel that they've benefited somewhat from that. Because by them not signing Moyes up at the point where we were 6th in the league and everything was looking rosy, it's not just allowed them more breathing space, it's actually allowed David Moyes the opportunity, for want of a better word, the opportunity to start losing games. And I think then now the board are quite thankful that they didn't offer him that contract there. So now David Moyes has got until the end of the season to sort of prove himself worthy of a new deal. Those are the facts, and I'll tell you that now. Those are the absolute facts. Actually, David Moyes is not in control of this situation. So, well, I guess he is. If he wins all these games, he's in control of the situation. He will get a new deal. But almost as it were, despite this statement, despite the yellow ticker tape flying across Sky Sports News, David Moyes is in exactly the same situation now as he was in yesterday, as he was in 3 weeks ago. Nothing has changed. There has been no big conversation with the board. He's not sat down with them. There's been no new contract negotiations. And I think that the thing is with this, it indicates that there has been, that there really hasn't. I think what we're seeing now is a separation. And it's going to be a long, drawn-out separation. This is the death of the thousand cuts. These are the words of a man who probably knows he's on his way out. And I think more than that, probably doesn't have the utmost confidence that he can turn it around. He's in a situation now where he's probably fully aware that he's reliant on one man, Lucas Paquetá, to come back and rescue the day for him. But certainly the player himself does not believe he is ready yet. He really doesn't. Even the player himself thinks he's a couple of weeks away from being fully fit. Will David Moyes risk him? I think David Moyes has to. But what this means is David Moyes is not in control, which obviously goes completely against what he's saying. And this is really interesting, his words. I'm in control. He's not. He's not in control of the contractual situation. He's not even really fully in control of the footballing side of things, because his tactics are gone at the moment. He is really reliant on one man to pull it all around. And despite what he says, things can go even worse. They can go even more horribly wrong than they are right now. Because make no mistake about it, I fully believe this. I've not been told this. This bit I'm saying now is my own opinion. If he doesn't get a win in the next 3 games, Everton, Brentford, Burnley, sorry, not in that order, but if he doesn't get a win there, he's gone. I firmly believe that. I think the thing that's happened here is the board are making plans to go ahead without him. That's what's changed in the last week or two. The last week or two, I do believe that Tim Steidten has been given more authority. That is why the club are increasingly confident of keeping Tim Steidten. I think David Moyes clearly knows that. He knows there's manoeuvrings behind the scenes, that maybe he hasn't got the support within the club that he did have. So this is a situation of jump before he's pushed. Now, he's not jumping in as much as he's leaving, because nothing is irretrievable. No situation is irretrievable. David Moyes can retrieve this situation, but it will take a really good run of results. Maybe, just maybe, the draw in the Europa League against Freiburg, maybe that's helped. Maybe David Moyes is thinking, can I just buy time and get that? That's a winnable fixture for him. Can I get Lucas Paqueta back? Can I get all of my ducks lined up to give me a fighting chance here? But make no mistake about it, David Moyes has seen these manoeuvrings behind the scenes. He can see Tim Steidten growing in stature, and he's looking at this and he's basically saying to everybody, look, I'm in charge, I'm dealing with this. But this is not a message, by the way. It's quite interesting what he's doing here. This is not a message for the ownership. This is a message for the press. It really is. Just to make out that there's going to be some. It's almost like he was lining it up to suggest that there will be some benevolence from him if he makes a decision. I think he knows. It's hard to say. I don't know the man. I would imagine David Moyes is probably thinking he's probably 60, 70% likely to leave. And if he does that, he's going to want to paint the picture that he did it with the club's best interests at heart. You've seen the perception from the outside of David Moyes. You've seen it's been quite, I'd say almost a campaign against West Ham fans from a lot of mainstream media, maybe. His stock is still high. And David Moyes is not finished with football. He really isn't. It's not the end of his career. He wants to continue. He wants another job. He knows it's highly unlikely to be at West Ham. So I think he's very much paving the way because it looks better, doesn't it? It's like that statement that comes out from any club. Oh, we're sad to announce the departure of such and such who leaves by mutual consent. Our best wishes, and we wish him every success for the rest of his career. Blah blah blah. It's all that horse shit that's always written. This is a version of that, but he's not doing it with the club's consent. This is not a joint statement. And make no mistake about it, the club did not know he was going to do this today. That's why they're scrambling now. This is a surprise. Wouldn't have been a surprise for David Moyes. He would have known yesterday when he was, lying in bed thinking of whatever he was, probably thinking of his press conference today. He knew what he was going to do today. He knows how this will be received. And it's a game of chess going on here. I don't think it's particularly healthy for West Ham at the moment. We've got something very, very long and drawn out. I think it's a situation that suits nobody. Factually, this is the interesting, factually nothing's changed. At the moment, if he carries on the run of form he's on, here's the thing. If he goes on a winning run and we get up and we qualify for Europe again next season, I'll use that in its most simplistic form. If we qualify for Europe again next season, he keeps his job. Okay? If he loses the next 3 games, he's gone then. It's my interpretation of it. If he carries on, and let's say he wins 1 of the next 3 games, let's say we finish the season, we go on like that, we get some wins, and we end up getting 45 points this season, let's put it that way, he will be gone at the end of the season. So all 3 things are still possible. So actually, factually, nothing's changed. Nothing has changed here at all. We're exactly where we are. What this is him trying to control the media. In many respects, we've just seen some PR today. But I do think that David Moyes is not any good at PR. He's not any good at playing the media. He's good at scaring the media, good at intimidating the media, good at ensuring the media don't ask him the questions that really press him too hard and ask him the tough questions about the nuanced detail of West Ham. I don't think he's very good at conveying the message he wants to convey, because I'm pretty sure any sort of savvy PR advisor would have told him, hold on, leave out the bit about the family, because it sounds, there's a finality to it. Leave out the thing about, I'll do what I think's best for the club. Again, there's a finality to it. Advisors and people know how things are perceived and how things sound would have, anyone with any sort of experience would have told him to leave that out. And that's sort of contradicting the message that he's given him, which is, I'll stay. If I want to stay, it's up to me and I'm in control. He's let a little bit, shown a little bit of himself there, a little bit of his insecurity. Basically, that's showing his insecurity, which I do not believe for a second that when David Moyes formulated the words in his mind, this is not a statement, he said this. So he'd have formulated the words in his mind. And like anybody who's going to speak and doing this stuff, when you formulate the words in your mind, they don't always come out precisely as you've imagined them. He did not want to convey... What's the word I'm looking for? He didn't want to come across as a wounded animal. He didn't want to come across as sensitive. He wanted to come across as strong and in command. But as I say, there was a sort of resignation to his comments, which just would make you believe that, yeah, I mean, he's a little bit wounded, I think, by the criticism that he's had. He's probably aware that there's not necessarily going to be a job there waiting for him. And he's trying to protect his reputation now. And in certain circumstances, leave his head held as high as he can. Because if he leaves, he'll get that statement. That thing you talked about. I mean, it will already be written. And if it's not, if it's not, it will be along the lines of West Ham United was... sad to announce that David Moyes has left the club. He's left the club by mutual consent. He will be going on, and we wish him all the best for his future career. David Moyes enjoyed unprecedented success with West Ham by qualifying for Europe for 3 years in a row and famously won the club its first trophy in 43 years. We've done David Moyes and all his staff. We thank them, and that's what the statement will be. Honestly, most of the words I've just said will be in the statement. It's already done. This is different. This is very, very different here. But it solves nothing for the club. This still drags on. And I think for West Ham fans who are seeing our season slipping away like sand slipping through our fingers, this is not particularly good. And we're in a situation now where, realistically, for points, we need... Everything contradicts each other. For points, we need a win against Brentford. For David Moyes to go, we probably need a loss against Brentford. I'm even the way David Moyes is speaking, these are not the words of a man, I want to lead the rebuild at West Ham. He does not sound motivated. Far from it. He sounds dejected, actually. I've seen this all before. Funny enough, I remember Kenny Dow, a few of them stick in my mind. Nigel Pearson at Leicester. Roy Hodgson at England. Kenny Dalglish at Liverpool. There are lots of them. Kevin Keegan at Newcastle. I'm not talking about the I would love it rant. I'm talking about after that. I'm talking about people who are totally dejected and they know before they've left, they've lost their love of the game. I think David Moyes has lost his love of the West Ham job. And irrespective of whether you want him or you don't want him to stay, even if you did want him to stay, that's not a good thing. Anyway, there you go. Just my thoughts about it. I think we're in for the death of a thousand cuts here.